Hey everyone! In this video I talk about how to prevent AI assistants from hallucinating, and I think this might be one of the most important topics for us AI builders to consider, because a hallucinating AI assistant is basically the worst nightmare of anyone who is thinking about implementing an AI assistant for their own business. Let me share an example. Just earlier this year, Air Canada lost a court case where their AI assistant invented a discount that doesn't really exist. So they had to pay the fake discount, and they even lost the court case. So they lost a lot of money and even some reputation potentially, because their AI assistant might not be seen as that reliable anymore. And one of my personal experiences is where I use an AI assistant with a language school. And then one of the students asked about the opening hours of the language school between Christmas and New Year. And even though the website of the school states that the language school is closed, this AI assistant wrongly communicated that it would be open on a few days. And in this case, it's really bad because the student might actually show up and try to go to class on a day where the school is not even open. And it's also not easy to contact that person, because if you use the AI assistant, you in most cases don't need to identify yourself. So in this case, we are not able to tell who is the student that got this wrong information, right? And hopefully he checked the website or contacted someone at the school. But these are the type of situation that we as AI builders should try to avoid as much as possible. And how to do that is what I'm going to talk about in this video. And I'm going to talk about 4 different options how to reduce hallucinations. And you can see in the video timeline below, and also jump to the one that you think is relevant, but I suggest you consider them all. So let's go into the first one. That's the most straightforward one. It's simply hard coding answers, because a hard coded answer is safe. Let me show you what I mean. If I go here on my website and I start a new chat, I get the option to book a call with a button. And if I simply click this button, then I can totally control what is the text and what is the experience that comes up here without any danger for hallucination. And depending what's the application of the chatbot, we can just deactivate this message field here and just use only buttons to have the interaction with the user in a controlled way. And that reduces the risk of hallucinations down to 0, of course. But that also eliminates all the advantages of AI that we get with smart and specific answers and empathy. And in this way, it's probably not what we want to use in most cases. So that's the best option, but not one that works always. Then the second option I want to talk about is the knowledge base. So if we look, for example, in VOICEFLOW into the knowledge base that I also have for the AI assistants that's on my website, and let me reload here. There's still some duplication from my earlier tests. If I reload this knowledge base, you see on my website I have some chunks. So basically, if I just enter as a data source my website here as a URL, it will read out all this information as a chunk. And you see it's really not well formatted. Sometimes you see offer, 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 and 3 times kind of the same sentence. And it can deal with one, but in my experience, if I have more than 10 of these type of chunks, it starts to get confused and it starts to make up things and not identify the right chunk anymore to retrieve the information. And so one way to deal with this is to have a better formulated knowledge source. For example, here with the chunks. So this is just a Q&A format where I always have a question and an answer. And this is not automatically scanned by a website, but it's basically input that I put in there myself. But you can, of course, generate this Q&A by just using this link, inputting it into ChatGPT and ask it to generate the Q&A. and then you get the answers and you put this here as a knowledge source. And this takes a bit of time to do, but it will really improve the knowledge base and in that way reduce hallucinations. And you might ask, how do you actually get these FAQs here? Because you can't actually add it as a data source here. It's not one of the options. And so what you need to do is you need to use the upload table data API provided by VOICEFLOW. And what you can do if you're not very familiar with code is you ask an AI assistant like ChatGPT or Claude to help you build a front end, and probably you'll be able to build something similar to this, which is now my Swiss AI automation dashboard, where I simply have questions here and then I can add more questions or remove them and save the changes. Let me show you what I can do here. So for example, question A, answer B. I just save the changes. After a few seconds, we get the confirmation that it's a success. And now if I go back to knowledge and I reload the page, you'll see that the FAQs got updated with my question A and answer B, even though it's hidden below that arrow. Like this, you see it. So that's the way to improve the knowledge base with VOICEFLOW, and I assume there are similar ways with other services that you can use to build AI assistants. Now let's take a look at option 3. Option 3 is prompt engineering, and what you can do here is actually use some of the template prompts. I'm going to show you one from VOICEFLOW. If we are again here in the workflow of knowledge base response, I'll show you where the response is actually drafted. This is quite a long prompt, but the relevant part here is that I ask to do it in several steps, and then the step 4 is verification. Ensure that the response strictly contains information from chunks and is directly related to last utterance. Do not incorporate any additional or external information. So this step will try to reduce hallucinations, but as with the example that I shared before with the language school, where the student got the wrong information about the opening hours, this is not full fail-proof. It still goes through, but it definitely helps to reduce hallucinations. And then a second way is to actually prompt the knowledge base in the right way. And so if this chat here has a question, let me show you what I'm actually doing here. So if in this chat, this is the same AI assistant, I ask a question, for example, what services does Swiss AI automation offer? So if I offer a question like this, it's an open answer. And let's give it a second to generate the answer. So it generates the answer in a correct way here. What it did actually to get to this answer is not directly ask my question to the knowledge base, but it improved the question here with this step first. So you have this kind of step here where the retrieval question gets improved. And only then does the question get asked to actually retrieve the chunks. And then another way to reduce hallucination is to set a minimum chunk score here. So the way that works is that here, if you click on not found path, you have this option here to choose the minimum chunk score. And whenever a question is asked to the knowledge base and knowledge is retrieved, it gets this score. And if the score is too low, below the minimum that you set here, it will actually not answer, but it will try to help the user ask a better question or get to the information in another way without hallucinating. So this is another way how you can reduce hallucinations. So these were several ways how you can reduce hallucination by direct prompt engineering. Now the option 4 that you can also use is to do additional validation on top of everything that's the regular process. And so, for example, you can have a step that's called reduce hallucinations, and you can just drop that in right after the craft response to users. This used to be a template provided by VOICEFLOW as well. I think it's not anymore right now, but of course the logic still applies. And let me actually just go to this component and show you what happens. So the way you can reduce hallucinations is that every time the AI assistant generates a response, you actually ask it to once again verify if this is actually corresponding with the chunks and with the knowledge. And if it is not corresponding with the facts that it has directly from the knowledge base, then it's asked to rewrite this whole prompt and rewrite the message and then give that. And that will of course make the process much slower, and it also uses much more tokens than if you don't have this step. But if there is a danger of hallucination, this might be a good idea to also combat hallucinations. So these were 4 steps how you can try to combat hallucinations. And I definitely think this is an ongoing work, because whenever something else gets changed in a prompt, the danger is there that more hallucinations might happen. Or when, for example, OpenAI or Claude or Google offer a new model, then it might not work in the same way with the old prompts. So this is a lot of trial and error here that we have to do. And I think it's a best practice that whenever you have some kind of major update, that you have questions ready that you think are problematic or that caused problems and hallucinations in the past, and then you ask these questions to the AI assistant and make sure it doesn't hallucinate. So these were my thoughts and my experiences about reducing hallucinations in AI assistants. Let me know about your thoughts, and I would also love to hear if you ever had glitch-ups with hallucinations that confused potential clients, and I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And that's it again for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.